Hey Esther, it's National Reconciliation Week here in Australia this week, and a bloody important week for this country.
I knew that because I have just done a great session with Aaron Faaoso. He's a Torres Strait Islander who set up his own production company to tell stories about his mob and Indigenous stories generally, and Australian stories across the board.
Oh, I love Aaron. He's a total legend. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Let's get on with it.
Hello and welcome to Running Free Skills. Today we're talking to Aaron Faaoso to discover if running your own production company is really for you, what it's like and what skills you really need to have. Now, Aaron, I have a feeling that everyone watching is going to be thinking, I know that guy. He's an actor. He's a really great actor. Why is he here to tell us about running a production company and not being an actor? So do you want to tell me a bit about how you have transitioned or added running a production company into being an actor?
Right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Esther. And look, it's a real pleasure to be here today. And to firstly answer your question, I guess when I came into the industry, or was catapulted in the industry on a little production called Remote Area Nurse, which was a 6-part by 1 hour drama series for SBS that was shot entirely in the Torres Straits. And on the back end of that, I realized that, during that process, I realized that this was the industry for me. It spoke to me. I wanted to do more of this, and that I wanted to engage and immerse myself in the industry. Not knowing at the time that there's very few roles for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and diversity was yet to be spoken about or yet to kick in. It's still waiting to kick in. They're still talking about diversity and inclusion. Is that still a thing? Anyway, so I think I developed a really, really strong and great relationship with the producers at the time for Remote Area Nurse, which were Helen Pankhurst and Penny Chapman. And from there, I decided, I was going to come in and establish myself in the industry and have a crack. And whilst the first year I came out in Sydney in 2005, when absolutely nothing was going on in the film and television world. Quotas, they talk about quotas. It takes me back to 2005. There was hardly anything popping back then. It was a really terrible time for the industry. So for that first year, no one knew who the hell I was. Rand hadn't screened. There was about a year until 2006 that Rand actually hit the screens. So I had about a year in Sydney to, I guess, walk the pavement and get myself accustomed and to build a relationship with the casting agents at the same time through my agent RGN, who I am still proudly a part of, that particular family. And so I gave me about 12 months to really kind of, because the discussion that was stimulated during that process in the Remote Area Nurse was that it'd be great to be able to tell more stories and bring stories to screen from the Torres Strait. So I decided, well, this is what I was going to also embark on that. Not only that I wanted to engage as an actor in front of the camera, but I also wanted to be part of developing Torres Strait stories. And I was really, really blessed and fortunate that I had really two great experienced mentors in Penny Chapman and Helen Pankhurst, who basically took me under their wing and started to impart and mentor me as a producer, content creator, and to impart with me the skills, the knowledge, what it takes to become a producer, and also introducing me to the broadcasters, the many people that are involved in decision making, and many people that are involved, from the writers to the creatives, and watching them and observing them on their other productions that they were developing and creating through that time, through to the whole kind of setup of the Matchbox that we know now. So it was a really, I guess, a great time and period for me to immerse myself during that time. But also, I knew that this is the industry. The industry basically spoke to me, and it's an industry that when I came into the industry, it's like, yes, this is what I will be doing for the rest of my life.
I love that. I love that level of enthusiasm. And I think one of the things you said really hit the nail on the head about why you would set up your own production company. And that is to tell your own stories, because there's nobody who can access your community stories. And that's not just about you, that's about all of us if we are trying to tell stories that are kind of not white middle-class male stories. The way to get them told is kind of to do it ourselves. So what I'm going to do to kind of highlight the magic of that is I'm going to play a little clip from, now I'm going to screw up the name again, but you'll forgive me because I'm English, Northern, I can't help it.
All right, we'll give you that for now.
Yatha Pathway.
Yep, that's it. Yatha Pathway.
Yatha Pathway. It's fantastic. It's on ABC iView. Anybody can watch it, but I'm going to play a little clip from it now.
Hey, say.
Come. You say, how you come? See the weather.
Good. Why not even good? Come.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good to see you, Mama.
How are you? Yeah, how you boy? Yeah.
Good to see you.
When I look at my Uncle Paul, and I also want to be thinking, I also dinghy and hunting, sabi everything, or drive a dinghy, or thinking.
God.
Yeah,
Wow, no, I'm not good for Monica and Mom. It's so good for have boy one year.
Wow.
For the special time, yeah.
Yep. Oh, no, it's a great honor for me. What happened? In platform, one MM grab as a water worm.
When I look for Elliot Amplo, I was a proper island boy.
Have fun, eh?
And for me, I feel like white man.
Love you, flower.
Because I'm Cairns boy, I can feel like an Amplo. Because I can't go hunting and that. The Cairns, all I do is play football. That's all I stuff I do. Well, it's just hard for me just to get this beard out of the way. And also myself. Mainly mom and dad. Family make family proud. Yeah.
Dimitri wasn't ready there yet. He wasn't ready until, him spirit that Dangal blame their name ready for save.
That was heartbreaking. I have to say, I've made documentaries, I've made loads of docos, and getting a teenage boy to open up like that, it's incredible. How did seeing that on when you shot that, when you got that in the can, how did you feel?
I guess it was. Just to set it all up. I mean the whole process and hence the name Yatha Pathway, which is Dimitri's journey in through initiation, or the first stage of initiation. So, as discussed and highlighted in that particular short web series or online series, is Yatha Pathway is all about the close relationship and the importance of what uncles, the maternal uncles, play in the role of now taking this young boy, or this young boy in the first stages of initiation, and basically becomes the mentors in seeing this young boy develop into a young man and be the advisors throughout that process into manhood. So I'm related to Dimitri's mother. So it makes that I fall on that maternal side of a Wadawam or an uncle. So interviewing him, I was able to, because I have that relationship with Dimitri, when interviewing him, I was able to cut to the core of, you know, his real feelings in around that process and his wanting or anticipation to be able to, you know, engage with community and to be able to be taught those particular rituals and go through ceremony as he felt that growing up, and which do a lot of urban Torres Strait Islanders feel, you know, especially young men feel that sense of disconnection to the homeland and to particular, you know, ceremony initiation, whereby, you know, this was about inspiring, you know, future Torres Strait Islanders or Torres Strait Islanders now that live in the urban settings, that we can repatriate, they can, you know, reconnect to land, to country, to kinship and family. And I guess it was amazing that we were able to capture that all in its essence and how it just really hit home. I mean, it's a really tender moment where, you know, you've got this young teenage boy, you know, when I remember, you know, well, I can think that, you know, they have so much bravado, but I guess we were able to cut through those layers and pull out the essence of, you know, emotionally where Dimitri was sitting at that particular time.
How important is it for people to see themselves on screen?
Well, look, I think Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people historically haven't had a positive relationship with the media. When I came into the industry, I mean, just to give you a bit of insight, when I came into the industry, I was being interviewed at one time in terms of who were my heroes when I was growing up in far north Queensland, Torres Strait. And I said it was the West Indies team, a cricket team of the 1980s. And I was posed the question, well, why? And I said, well, they look like me and they were actually kicking ass. They were black fellas kicking ass on the world stage. And I think that also, I mean, there's nothing more powerful than the film and television industry, and to have those positive imagery is so important when we see ourselves in, whether it's in a prominent you know, actor, an Aboriginal Torres Strait actor playing a prominent, powerful role, and that is positive, that is empowering. That lives forever. We know that as filmmakers, that anything that we do will live well beyond our time here on Earth, you know, on Earth, so to speak. So I guess, you know, we're only now beginning to really only scratch the surface in terms of, you know, really now having a fairly strong Indigenous sector in the industry and having a presence. And if you look across the broad in the industry on a broader spectrum, that it's over the last 7 or 8 years in particular, a lot of our film and television, Indigenous film and television making have had, you know, critically acclaimed responses internationally. And I think, you know, that goes a long way. I mean, we are, you know, we've got 70,000 years of stories, man. You know, we haven't even scratched the surface.
I think you've just nailed why you need to be running a production company.
Oh, okay. Well, this interview's over then. Well, that was short.
But that's it. Like, you've absolutely nailed that. So the narrative that we see on screen is so important for how we and people like us view ourselves and people in the future view us. And yeah, okay, so we now know why we should set up a production company. So it's great. We've got the big vision. Now let's talk about the practical skills. So talk to me a bit about the key skills that you need to run a small production company.
So it's having a sense of story, be able to develop, strong, good relationships, and to be able to get on people, and having a thick skin, but also having a sense of business, and also a sense. It also helps to have an entrepreneurial flair as well. So it's also and being able to determine or have a gauge on what are the future trends for the industry, and for instance, what will our business look like post the COVID-19? Once this relaxes as well. What does that look like? Because I'm going to tell you that it is going to be very different to what it was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry.
No. I think you're spot on, and I think that kind of wearing of so many different hats as a producer is hugely important.
Yeah, but it drives you crazy too.
Now, let's talk about the beginning of your production company, the Lonestar Group.
Yep.
So you set that up basically around the time when you were making Blue Water Empire and you partnered with Bunya.
I set up, I was developing this, basically did the pitch document, sent it into the ABC. They were interested in developing it, and so we got market interest, went to Screen Australia and Screen Queensland at the time, and again received support, but on a proviso that I would have to partner with an experienced production company or producer, namely producer. And David Jowsey David and I have been speaking on for many years, and he's one of those people that he's able to inspire and summon inspiration, and I think he believed in the story. He loved, Blue Water Empire. I mean, it's such an ambitious piece of work, trying to tell a history. An oral history, Okay, it was basically. I mean, you could just, once the dust is settled and he's agreed to come on, you could just imagine what was going through his head. And he goes, "So, tell me about the history of the Torres Straits." He goes, "Yeah, look, mate, there's not much documentation. Everything's all history." He goes, "Right, I think this is a bit of a stitch up, man." No, but really. We then, because of his documentary experience, because of the wealth of, work that, experience, the wealth of experience working within the in-house of the ABC, we could actually lean on a lot of that, creative, but also the logistical experience that he's, the wealth of logistics and creative experience that he brings to the table. I was fortunate where, in the early stages, whilst developing Blue Water Empire, I was able to secure a government contract, which allowed me to roll out this short film initiative throughout the Cape and Torres Straits. And we went, and Jimmy and I, and who was my business partner, and the other half of Lonestar, went on almost like a 3-year track throughout the Torres Strait and Cape York region, rolling out a short film initiative where we identified and working closely with a government organisation or stakeholder, and to identify potential talent and all of that. I think at the end of that, we produced and worked with up to 60 short films, so 60 practitioners over a course of 3 years. So that was basically that was a great what do you call a boot camp, producing boot camp, I guess, for 3 years, and just knocking away at, your craft, so to speak.
Do you kind of have external experts that you rely on, or do you have to, as a producer, know everything?
No, you don't. You can't have all the skills. You do need external, legal advice. You do need, external accountants that, and at times, I mean, you do need to really lean on their experiences. Never be afraid of asking all the dumb questions, because all the dumb questions are the right questions, because they're the ones. Don't ever act like you know everything, because that's your downfall straight there and then. I've made so many mistakes in this industry to poke a stick at,
Now, you've just completed your Masters of Screen Business with AFTRS. How useful was that qualification, or how useful has that been?
I think it's been extremely useful. I think it was more or less it was kind of like a mirror. Okay, but it was also an industry mirror. Okay, these are the skill sets that and how, or even like a gauge in terms of what skill sets I had and where I stacked up in terms of a master practitioner. And I think it was an opportunity to consolidate my skill set and have a better insight on the skill sets that I do have, because sometimes when you're just learning on the job and then you're playing on different areas, you're acting you're acting for a bit, but at the same time you've got stuff in development, so you're producing. And then you're writing, and then you're probably directing. And sometimes it can all get a bit of a mishmash going on. So it was great to be able to see that for what it is in terms of, okay, this is my producer skill set. This is where my skill set will stack up. These are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. This is what I need to work on. And this is what I could do actually better.
Are you pleased that you're a producer?
Absolutely. It's not without its challenges, but if this is a tough industry, make no bones about it, in all aspects. And I think a producer is a thankless position. If the film or production pops, it's all the director. It goes all praise to the directors and the actors, and so it should. But when it flops, oh damn, it's the producer's fault. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I think those of us that are producers in the game, we didn't come in for any kind of glory or notoriety. I think it's the self-satisfaction of being able to tell the story, a concept, and hopefully, when you put it out there to the rest of the world to consume and critique, well, it's no longer yours at the end of the day. I mean, there are so many hands that, more or less, pretty much like Yatha Pathway. It speaks to where, you born your child, you raise your child, and to a certain age, you hand your child over to your maternal uncles and aunties, and now and they take your child and assist in, taking your child from young, from young adulthood, or from childhood, young adulthood into manhood. So it's pretty much, Torres Strait Islanders and Aboriginal Torres Strait Islanders been doing that for 70,000 years, man. So that's why we make good producers, no jokes.
Aaron, you are totally a natural storyteller, because I could not have done a more beautiful callback and segue to the end. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. It has been an absolute delight to talk to you, and I could frankly listen to you for quite a lot longer. But
I gotta do some work. I gotta do some producing, man.
thank you so much. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.